Hi again, I hope you are doing good. I have been asked a lot of questions from CS professional students appearing for ICSI CS Professional Examination in June 24 with respect to the next 3 months strategy. So in this video, I have discussed subject wise revision strategy for CS Professional June 24 attempt. And before starting with this discussion, I would like to give a disclaimer that please do not try to apply this strategy as it is. Please modify this strategy as per your own context and situation and apply it accordingly. So, without wasting any time, let's get started. So before starting with subject-wise revision strategy, let us first discuss the basics of revision phase. So the first thing that you need to understand is revise selectively. And what I mean by this, across all the subjects, there exist topics where there is no need for you to go in depth. Simply, you are required to have a quick go through of those topics. So remember that revise selectively does not mean that you are leaving a particular topic. It means that you are not required to go in depth in each and every topic. So there are some topics in which you can have a quick go through, and then there are some topics in which you are required to go in depth, right? So you need to identify such topics and revise accordingly. Second is focus on having a strong hold on 60 marks in each subject. It means that first you should cover 60% or 65% of the subject, and for that portion you should work on all the aspects, whether it is understanding, revision, retention, or answer writing. Third, before starting the revision of any chapter, right? So you are supposed to do this chapter wise. Before starting the revision of any chapter, identify the topics in which you are super confident, topics in which extensive learning is required, and topics in which only understanding is required, and you can write the answers in your own language using the keywords. So by identifying these topics, you would be able to rationally allocate your time. Fourth, while reading a topic, you should focus on the highlighted content. So you already have a material, and there's a possibility that you already have markings in that material, or you have already highlighted the key points in that material. So you should focus on that portion. You should emphasize on that portion. It will also help you to cover the chapter quickly. Also, it will save a lot of time when you are covering, and you there's no need for you to start the topic from scratch. You can simply go through the highlighted portion again and again and again, and this also helps in retention of the topic. Fifth is this is a general point that as a in terms of mindset, mind becomes overprotective, and it does not allow you to leave a particular topic confidently, or doesn't allow you to have a quick go through of the topic confidently. You always feel that you should go through that topic again and again, right? So just take the note of this point that in this case, mind is somewhere playing with you. You need not to go through each and every topic in an in-depth manner. Identify the topics where there is a need, and identify the topics where there is no need for you to go in depth, and then revise accordingly. So these are the five basics of revision phase, and with this, let's start with the subject wise revision strategy. So let's first start with GRMC. In GRMC, you should complete part B and C first. Risk management, internal control, and reporting, which gives you 40 marks, which is a 40 marks portion. And then when you are completing B and C, complete chapter number 10 from part A along with part B only, that is risk management, because in previous attempts, they have asked questions from chapter number 10 in the risk management portion. Do not leave anything from here. Complete each and every topic from part B, C, and chapter number 10. After that, move on to part A. In part A, just leave chapter 1, 8, 9, and 11. Apart from these chapters, you are required to cover all the chapters. And how you can start in this? So you can focus on the chapters containing the Companies Act provisions, which you have read earlier as well in CS Executive, chapter number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Once you are done with this, then move on to part D. Complete part D as much as you can. If you are not in a position to complete part D completely, then what you can do is you can simply cover the ethics chapter, because that chapter is small. Then get back to chapter number 1, 8, 9, 11 from part A. Why we are doing these chapters at last? Because continuous learning is required in these chapters, and they end up consuming a lot of time in the beginning. And one day before exams, you should focus on part B and C only, and chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10. So one day before, when you are doing one day before revision, first cover part B and part C, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10 from part A. And even after covering all of these chapters, you still have time, then you can cover rest of the chapters. Apart from that, what you can do is on the exam day itself, you can again read about the principles and institutions from chapter number 1, 8, 9 and 11 in the morning. Before going for the exam, you can you can read the principles or about the institutions from these chapters. So this will help you in quick recalling during the exam. And one more thing that I would like to add on is, what if difficult or surprising questions are asked in part B and part C? So seeing the pattern of last few attempts, I would suggest you to have a strong hold on uh, few chapters from each and every part. So even if the surprising questions are asked from part B and C, you should have a strong hold on few chapters from part A also, to keep your mindset intact in the exams, right? You don't get affected by seeing a surprised like a difficult question in part B or C, right? So to deal with this, what you can do is you can have a strong hold in few chapters from part A as well. Also, this point applies to every subject which is consisting of parts, whether it is DD, CRI, CFLSE, or ATL. And for GRMC, you should like have a hold on few chapters from part A also, along with part B and C. So you should focus on these portions in GRMC, or this is the thought process, or this is the thought process on how you can plan the revision of GRMC subject. Obviously, as I said, you need to modify it as per your own context. You need to see whether you are required to spend time and whether you are not required to spend a lot of time. Now, coming on to drafting, first thing is to revise or write draft on regular basis. Second, do not try to mug up the points of draft. Instead, just take the understanding of the topic. You can write in your own language using the keywords. In case you are not able to write in your own language, you need to equip yourself to do this, right? So you need to practice writing in your own language using the keywords. In this way, you would be easily able to frame the sentences. The only thing that is required is understanding of that topic. So say, for example, if you are supposed to draft a hire purchase agreement, you just need to understand what is hire purchase and how it works. That's it. If you know about it, you would be easily able to frame the sentences and frame the sentences around the keywords. But in case you're facing problem in framing the sentences around the keywords, I would suggest you to practice writing draft. And when you are practicing, focus on creating sentences on your own using the keywords, right? Third, when you revise drafts, simultaneously create a separate sheet in which you should include the basic format of the draft. This sheet comes handy one day before the exam, and it will help you to revise at least the formats of the draft. You can even include major points that are included in the draft, and yes, you would be easily able to revise all those points as well as the format of the draft one day before the exam. Fourth, along with doing drafts on regular basis, cover theory portion side by side. And what you can do is you can keep a fixed time for draft, like say 20 minutes in a day, and rest of the time you will give on theory of the chapter, right? Also, you need to decide this time considering the subjects you are appearing for and considering your hold on the language and other aspects as well. But you can like allocate your time between the two, right? Allocate this time between the two wisely. One is draft and another one is theory. And also, if you like if you're confused from where to start in drafting, I would suggest you to start first with the theory chapters. And also, when you are doing the theory chapters, keep on writing the draft, right? So you need to fix that time of say 20 minutes, 25 minutes, or 15 minutes for drafting, and rest will go on the theory portion. But when you are doing the theory portion, you can start with the pure theory chapters first, and then you can move on to the chapters containing draft plus theory. So this is all about drafting. Now, in advanced tax laws, first you should complete GST portion. Do not leave anything from GST portion. Under GST, possible order of revision could be lengthy chapters first, like ITC, procedural compliance, etc. Then you can move to TOS, VOS, POS, supply, composition, RCM, exemption, etc. And then lastly, appeal, advanced ruling, offences, and penalties. We are doing these chapters at last because in these chapters, continuous repetitions are required. Also, with respect to penalties, you can create a separate sheet containing all the penalties and can read the sheet on regular basis. I would suggest you to do this if you face problem in retaining the penalties. Then for covering GST quickly, you can use CA Yashwant Mangal Sir revision series for GST. I will put the link in the description of this video. I will put the link of the playlist in the description of this video. And after GST, you are supposed to cover DT. Under DT, possible order of revision could be GAR and SAR, tax planning and tax evasion, DT, double, etc. Small chapters first. And why? Because you would be able to complete such chapters quickly. Also, you have already covered 60 marks portion from GST. So 60 marks from GST, and by doing these small chapters, you can easily cover 10 to 15 marks, which makes it a total of 70 to 75 marks, right? And yeah, after that, you can cover transfer pricing and poem and MAT and AMT lengthy chapters. Also, for transfer pricing, you can refer CA Bhavar Burana sir revision lecture. I will again put the link of this lecture also in the description of this video. And lastly, you are supposed to cover customs. Possible revision order could be valuation, baggage, duty drawback. Pay attention to the case laws and illustrations in all these chapters. Read chapter number 12
And after that, rest of the chapters, in all the chapters, pay attention to the case laws and illustrations. In case you run out of time after covering GST and DT, you can simply cover case laws and illustrations from each and every chapter in customs, so that even if like one question asked, they ask one question from the illustration or case laws, you would be in a position to attempt that question. And one day before exam, focus on GST. You can again use the revision series by CA Yashwant Mangal sir for one day before revision. This will help you to cover the subject fast and yet comprehensively. So this is all about ATL. So in ATL, I would like to add one thing, that if you are not practicing question solving in writing, please do the same. If you are only doing it orally, you might face problem in the exams when it comes to the presentation of the answer or format of the answer. So please make sure that you are practicing at least few questions from each topic under the GST portion by actually writing the answers. Now let's start with SACMDD. In SACMDD, you are supposed to cover part B first, which is of 60 marks. And from part B, do chapter 19 and 20 at last. Also, few topics have been repeated under two or more chapters. So identify such topics and cover them from one place only. That place could be the chapter in which such topics are given in the most comprehensive manner. So this will help you save a lot of time. And after this, there are lots of points in DD, so you need to revise what you covered today before starting a new portion tomorrow. And at first you will feel it is taking time, but gradually the time will start to reduce and retention will increase. And when you revise, try to make running notes. Focus on learning the keywords instead of learning the complete sentence. After this, cover part A. From part A, cover chapter 7 at last. And you can read chapter 7 in the morning on exam day also. The question in DD's paper are getting indirect in nature. For example, question on pre-engagement meeting can be asked as advise what an auditor should do to understand the company's business properly. So when you are reading the topic, understand the essence of the topic, what, why, how, and when, and also focus on what type of indirect question can be asked from such topic. And one of the common mistakes which I have observed in many certified copies of DD is improper interpretation of the question, कि question सही से नहीं समझ पाए कि क्या पूछा है उसके अंदर. So due to this, students end up writing something else instead of what has been asked. तो कुछ और ही लिख देते हैं जो एक्चुअली पूछा है वो नहीं लिखते, और उसके कारण जो मार्क्स है वो कट हो जाते हैं. So you need to make sure कि आप क्वेश्चन जो है वो बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ रहे हो, ठीक है, when you are solving the paper, even when you are practicing the questions, ठीक है, from previous year or from scanners, please make sure that you are reading the questions properly, so that वो आपकी हैबिट में आ जाएगा. एंड वंस इट बिकम्स योर हैबिट, इट विल बी इजी फॉर यू टू रेप्लिकेट द सेम इन द एग्जाम हॉल. एंड कैसे आप वर्क कर सकते हो, तो मैंने यहाँ पर बताया भी हुआ है कि इस पे वर्क करने के लिए रिविजन फेज में ही, ठीक है, यू कैन वर्क ऑन दिस ड्यूरिंग द रिविजन फेज इटसेल्फ बाय साइमल्टेनियसली सॉल्विंग द क्वेश्चंस एज यू कंप्लीट द रिविजन ऑफ अ टॉपिक. And I would suggest you to do this at least for part B, because that portion is of 60 marks and you should work on all the aspects with respect to part B. Also, whether it's part B or part A, start with the least confident chapter and then move to the most confident chapter. And one day before exam, focus on part B and strong chapters from part A. So if you cannot cover the entire syllabus, focus on part B first complete part B, and then in part A complete the chapters in which you are confident. So this is for SACMDD. Moving on to CRI. In CRI, complete part B first diligently. That is, do not leave anything from part B, which is the IBC portion, and create a separate chapter-wise sheet for case laws, and read this sheet on a regular basis. This sheet will also come handy one day before the exam. Then from part A, possible order of coverage could be types of corporate restructuring, fast track merger and competition act. These three chapters first, because you are familiar with these chapters, like you're familiar with the competition act, you have already read it in CS executive also. You're familiar with fast track merger as well, you have already read it in company law, right? So in the first chapter is quite easy. You can cover these three chapters first, and after that you can move on to taxation and accounting. These are theory chapters, though they might ask you a practical problem on taxation, but again that will be a case study problem, right? They will not give you numbers, right? So in that sense, these chapters are quite easy, so you can cover these chapters. With respect to valuation, you might be facing a problem that they ask a very different question on valuation in the exams as compared to what is given in the module. So what you can do is, I will leave my WhatsApp message I will leave my WhatsApp number in the description of this video, and you can message me on WhatsApp, and I will send you a document containing sums on valuation. So I have a document containing sums on valuation, and you would be able to practice the practical problem they ask in the exams, right? Even they copy pasted the same question from this document which I have in the exams by simply changing the names. That's it. The figures of the question were same, but they just changed the name. So you can use this document to practice sum valuation. After that, you can cover process of M&A transaction, chapter number 4, then chapter number 3, planning and strategy, chapter number 2, acquisition of company, chapter number 5, documentation, chapter number 10, regulatory approvals, chapter number 11, appearance, and chapter number 13, cross-border merger. The entire idea is to cover 50 marks from IBC properly, and at least 25 to 30 marks from part A properly. In rest of the 20 marks, you can take the risk. Even if you couldn't complete 20 marks up to that extent, it's fine. Then one day before exam, focus on part B and strong chapters from part A. And you can read the case laws sheet in the morning on the exam day. It helps in quick recalling in the exam. So this is with respect to CRI. And for this document containing sums on valuation, please feel free to drop me a message on WhatsApp. Coming to RCD, in RCD, first cover lengthy chapters, that is chapter number 5, 6, 7, and 9, because these chapters consume a lot of time. So first cover these chapters, and again you can do the analysis of topics in which you are confident, topics in which only you are required to learn, and topics in which mere understanding is required, and you can write the answers in your own language around the keywords with respect to these 4 chapters, so as to save time when it comes to these chapters. And then cover chapter number 2, 3, and 4, which are comparatively easy, and then finally cover chapter number 1 and 8. Create a separate chapter wise sheet for case laws in RCD as well, because there are a lot of case laws, and the questions are framed on the case laws. So to learn the case laws, you can create a separate chapter wise sheet. Also, if you are not in a position to learn the complete name of the case law, learn the first name, that is the name of the plaintiff, right? And you can simply write in array, that is in the matter of, in the name of the plaintiff, right? So you can write like this as well. So if you're not in a position to learn the complete name, if you're not in a position to learn the complete name, you can simply learn the name of the plaintiff. And then as questions are asked indirectly, this is a very very important point. As questions are asked indirectly, solve questions simultaneously to know whether you are able to apply what you have read, right? So it is very important for you to solve the question so as to understand what is your standing in terms of the topic you have covered. As usually the majority of the questions that are asked in RCD are case study based, you would be able to understand whether you are able to crack the case study or not, and yes, accordingly revise the subject or accordingly cover the topic. So this is a very very important point. Please do solve questions in RCD. Apart from this, I have also created a RCD quick revision series which is available on my YouTube channel, and I will add the link in the description of this video. Also, I created it for quick and comprehensive revision, so it will help you one day before. It will help you in one day before exam revision. Lastly, read the list of penalties given under the module on regular basis. To learn the penalties, you can also tear off the list and paste the same in your study room. Or apart from that, you can create a list on your own. So while writing, you would be able to learn some of the penalties, and then you can use that sheet to keep on revising the penalties. So this is all about RCD. So moving on to CFLSE. In CFLSE, please cover part B first, which is of 30 marks. In part B, you can keep chapter number 14 on hold for to complete it later on, that is at last. And from part A, possible coverage order could be ICDR, chapter 9, foreign funding, debt funding, chapter number 6, 7, and 8. Chapter number 10, intercorporate loans. Chapter number 12, securitization, Indian equity non-fund based, that is bonus and ESOP, and Indian equity private funding, RITs and InvITs, and chapter number 11. Do solve practical questions from past year papers. So solve all the questions that have been asked in the previous year papers. For questions that they might ask you for, for surprising questions that they might ask you, as they did in one of the attempts, they asked the question on factoring. So for that, you can solve the CA final level paper. You'd be able to understand how to solve those questions, and I would suggest you to do this at last, because maximum they can ask a practical question of 20 marks. I'm assuming this, they can ask practical question for more than 20 marks as well, but in case they ask it for 20 or 25 marks, it's fine. You can do this at last. First cover rest of the things from the module, and at last cover chapter number 14 from part B. Do read this chapter in morning on the exam day, right? So it would be very easy for you to recall the documents. So this is all for CFLSE. Moving on to MCS. In MCS, focus on facts of the case when reading the case laws, as facts will help you to identify the correct case law. Mark the important points from the judgment of the case law while reading it, and this will save a lot of time during the exams in identifying what to write. Also, read MCS on regular basis. People think that they will cover the subject as it is open book, in last, but I would suggest you to read MCS on regular basis. You can reduce the time, you can give like 15 to 20 minutes on daily basis, and in 15 to 20 minutes you can read two cases, right? So this is a better approach, right? I'm not saying this is a like perfect approach, but I think this is a better approach because uh, you are supposed to spend last time, like that is the time in the month of May on subjects that you are supposed to retain and write, instead of spending 2 to 3 hours on open book subjects. So it is better to spend lesser amount of time from today only, instead of spending a lot of time during the last days when you are supposed to spend the time on subjects which you are supposed to learn and retain and then write. So please read MCS on regular basis. You can give half an hour, but read it on regular basis. Possible order of coverage could be chapter number 8, then sample case studies, then chapter number 3, 7, 1, 4, 5, 2, and 6. Create a chapter wise chart for identifying the correct case law, and I would suggest you to do this especially for chapter number 3, 7, and 8, as they contain case studies from various acts. One day before exam, read and absorb this chart diligently, this chapter wise chart diligently. And for out of the box questions, write on the basis of application of mind and common sense. Yes, it is no doubt tough to do this, but write whatever you know related to the question properly and clearly, because examiner would be able to understand the same from what you are writing. So just make sure that whatever you know, write it properly and clearly. Be ready for surprises in this paper, so that it does not so that it does not affect your mindset on the exam day or with respect to the next paper. And do not exactly copy paste the language of the module while writing the answer. Keep it a mix of both the language of the module as well as your own language. Also, I have 4 documents with respect to MCS, which you can use to practice application of mind based questions. So please feel free to drop me a message on WhatsApp, and I will send you these 4 documents for practicing application of mind based questions. So this is all with respect to MCS. Coming on to IBC. In IBC, focus on facts of the case again when reading the case laws, as facts will help you to identify the correct case law. Mark the important points from the judgment of the case law while reading it. This will save a lot of time during the exams in identifying what to write. And read IBC again on regular basis, as I said in the paper of MCS. Give half an hour, but read it on regular basis. Possible order of coverage in blocks could be first chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, then second chapter 7, 8, 9, 11, third chapter number 10, fourth chapter number 13, 14, 15, and 16, fifth chapter number 1 and 2, sixth chapter number 12, and seventh chapter number 17 and 18. And create a separate chapter wise sheet for case laws in IBC as well. Again, do not exactly copy paste the language of the module while writing the answer. For out of the box questions, write on the basis of application of mind and common sense. And no doubt, again, it is tough to do this, but whatever you are writing, write it clearly. Uh, Also, you can refer the latest IBC judgments. So this is uh, one of the important point, that in IBC uh, they might ask you case study based questions, and they might use the latest case study to frame that question. So you can refer the latest IBC judgments. This can help in case of out of the box questions. And at the following link, you will find 10 landmark cases of IBC from 2022, and I will include this link also in the description. Also, what you can do is to get the latest case laws. You can refer the newsletter of IBBI, which is available on the IBBI website, in Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. So you can visit to their website, and you can find the latest newsletters. And in those newsletters, they cover the latest IBC judgments also. So you can cover these latest judgments from those newsletters as well. So this is with respect to IBC. I hope this discussion gave you the clarity on how to think about the subject wise revision strategies for the next 3 months. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, please do not try to copy paste this strategy as it is. If it requires modifications as per your context and situation, make the necessary modification and then apply this strategy to get the most out of it. Also, if you found the video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.